I want you all to take a moment and close your eyes. And I want you to think, concentrate, try to remember a time that you had before you were born when you were able to decide the color of your skin. How did you determine where and when you would be born, or who your parents were going to be? What factored your biological features? Were you going to be born as male or as female? Were you going to have straight hair or curly hair? Chances are, open your eyes, unless you've had some sort of spiritual enlightenment, that you, like everyone who was brought into this world, had absolutely no way to determine these factors before birth. In American culture today, it's not unlikely to have a conversation with someone who might say that Black Lives Matter. And you might get the response, no, all lives matter. What's important to note, when someone says Black Lives Matter, they're not necessarily saying that Black lives are more important than other lives. But what they are saying, according to the Black Lives Matters movement website, is that Black lives are a subset of American lives which are undervalued, scrutinized, and discriminated against, and more likely to end by police brutality. Now, this is not a call to action in an attempt to overthrow power or authority, but rather, this is a plea of awareness, of ownership to white privilege, and a need for change by those with the means to change it. Systemic racism, according to the Business Insider, is a form of racism that is embedded as normal practice within society or an organization. So it's called systemic racism because it's ingrained in institutions like banks, schools, government agencies, companies, and law enforcement. And this in turn can impact disparities in employment, wealth, education, home ownership, healthcare, and of course, incarceration. According to the US Census Bureau, this graph shows the wage gap between Black and white Americans. Notice the percentage difference between 1967 and 2017. This is the per capita income of Black and white Americans. This shows that if you were born as a Black American, you are less likely to make as much money as a white American. And this is extra income that could help support families, open up educational opportunities, eliminate debt, or just lessen the burden of financial dependency. This is the real median household income versus overall poverty rate according to race. With this graph, Black Americans are 12.6% more likely to experience poverty while making almost $30,000 less per year than white Americans. And this can lead to a multitude of complications, including college attainment between Black and white Americans. This is not only attendance rate, but graduation rate as well. And with the lack of education, there is also more likelihood in some cases of criminal activity or incarceration. This is a ratio of imprisonment, the rates of Black males to white males by age. And what's really important about this graph to see is that Black males Black males aged 18 to 19 are 12.7 times more likely to be in prison than white males at the same age. Consider some of these facts according to Forbes. Strangers tend to rate white people's intelligence and attractiveness higher than Black people. Law enforcement officials tend to be more lenient with white Americans, and authority figures are likely to treat Authority figures are more likely to treat white Americans as innocent until proven guilty and also give them more time to justify their actions. So I'm white, what can I do? Wake up to the truth of systemic racism and be aware that it is real. Stop defending and start seeing. Walk the talk and connect authentically. And of course, collaborate and self-educate. In this depiction, we can see a cartoon that says, well, I think all lives matter. We should care exactly equally at all times about everything. And then when there are two houses and one is on fire, the hose is pointed towards the house that is not on fire. So of course, this is just bringing to light that we need to focus on where the focus should be. Consider if you were at a cancer society function or you were at a cancer fundraiser. Would it be socially acceptable to stand outside and protest, reminding other people that there are other diseases too, not when the focus is on cancer? Or consider how you might treat a grieving family by telling them that you've experienced loss as well. There are times with social awareness that we need to be aware of what is happening. Think of the term "all lives matter" and what it represents. And then I ask those who support and believe in the All Lives Matter movement to ask, why are you not outraged? Why are you not pouring out cries and help to the Black community who has been plagued by deaths and police brutality? You should be angered by the death of Rayshon Brooks, Daniel Prude, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Atiana Jefferson, Aurora Rosser, Stephon Clark, Botham Jean, Alton Sterling, and Tamir Rice. These are just a few of the Black Americans that have been killed by police, and there are many, many more. It is human responsibility to care for one another. Simply put, without others, we would not be able to live the lives that we do today. Babies are not born racists. It's something that is learned and taught. We must care for one another. We must lend a hand to others, despite what makes them different from us. Unfortunately, we live in a world where eventually the beauty of humanity fails and human life becomes categorized, and we forget, ultimately, what it means to be human. Thank you.